My dear students of HS first year, I, Dr. Ramabroto Chakraborty, on behalf of the Faculty of English, SS College Hailakandi, welcome you in the virtual classroom. Dear students, today's class is the continuation of our previous class on the Portrait of a Lady by Khushbanshi. So, let us ready with our textbook Hornbill. In our previous class, we ended with author's childhood days when he was living with his grandmother in their village house, when the author's parents left the author with the grandmother and went to live in the city. And our today's lesson starts after this. Now, let's explore the text. When my parents were comfortably settled in the city, they sent for us. That was a turning point in our friendship. Although we shared the same room, my grandmother no longer came to school with me. I used to go to an English school in a motor bus. There were no dogs in the streets, and she took to feeding sparrows in the courtyard of our city house. Now, what does actually the author mean here? After comfortably settling down in the city, author's parents called him and his grandmother also. The author says that moving on to the city added to a new color to his friendship with her. In the new place, he stayed in the same room with her, but she did not accompany him to school as he studied in an English school and traveled in a motor bus. There were no stray dogs in the streets like the village streets. The old lady began to love some sparrows in the city house and used to feed them. Now, in this particular section, there is an excellent expression, turning point in our friendship. Now, I have to explain why it was a turning point in their friendship. Now, during the author's boyhood days, he was completely dependent on his grandmother, and the grandmother was an integral part of author's life. The turning point in their friendship came when they went to city, when the author's parents permanently settled there. She could no longer accompany the author to school as he went there by bus, what I have already told you. They shared the same room, but she could not help him in the studies. Now, what we see here, we see a paradigm shift in this particular section, and this shift is from village to city, from vernacular medium school to English medium school. Interestingly, village dogs have also been shifted to city sparrows, and the grandmother started more time in feeding sparrows. As the years rolled by, we saw less of each other. For some time she continued to wake me up and get me ready for school. When I came back, she would ask me what the teacher had taught me. I would tell her English words and little things of Western science and learning, the law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, the world being round, etc. This made her unhappy. Now, before explaining this, we have to know two things here: the law of gravity and Archimedes' principle. Now, what is the law of gravity? In physics, the force that attracts a body towards the center of the earth or towards any other physical body having mass is called law of gravitation. Now then comes Archimedes' principle. It is also a law of physics, a law stating that a body immersed in a fluid or liquid is subject to an upward force equal in magnitude to the weight of fluid or liquid it displaces. Now, what this particular section actually tells. Gradually, as the author grew up, the bond with his grandmother started to weaken somewhere. Initially, she waked him up and made ready for school as before. She even asked the child what was being taught in the classes, but the author started to use English words and talk about things like Western knowledge, science, law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, and the fact that the earth is round. To hear this made her unhappy. Now I am continuing the text. She could not help me with my lessons. Now this is a vital reason for her unhappiness. She did not believe in the things they taught at the English school and was distressed that there was no teaching about God and the scriptures. Now, why she was distressed? Distress means why she was pained. She was pained because in English school there was no teaching of God and scriptures. As we have already known that author's grandmother was a religious minded lady and she loved God and scriptures, but in English school curriculum these things were missing. One day I announced that we were being given music lessons. She was very disturbed after learning this. To her, music had lewd associations. Now, what's the meaning of the word lewd? The meaning of the word lewd is obscene, vulgar, dirty, etc. It means music was, according to her, the monopoly of harlots and beggars and not meant for gentlefolk. Now, monopoly. What is the meaning of the word monopoly? The word monopoly has been derived from the combination of two words, that is mono and poly. Mono refers to a single and poly to control. In this way, monopoly refers to a market situation in which there is only one seller of a commodity. Here, the word means an exclusive ownership or possession of a particular thing. Now another word, harlot. Actually, harlot means prostitute, the sex worker. Now according to author's grandmother, music is only meant for harlots and beggars and not meant for gentle folk like author. She said nothing, but her silence meant disapproval. She rarely talked to me after that. Now, from this particular section, we are to understand the reason behind the disturbance of author's grandmother's mind. Now, why the author's grandmother was disturbed? The author's grandmother was disturbed when the author started going to the city school because, number one, the grandmother did not like Western science and learning what taught in the author's English school. Number two, the grandmother was pained to know that there was no teaching of God and the scriptures there. Last but not least, she hated music, which was in author's curriculum, as author's grandmother thought music was not meant for decent people and gentlefolk. It was the monopoly of prostitutes and beggars. When I went up to university, I was given a room of my own. The common link of friendship was snapped. Now, snap means break. The friendship between author and grandmother was broken. My grandmother accepted her seclusion. Seclusion means loneliness. Accepted her loneliness with resignation. Now, what does this beautiful expression mean? When the author had been allotted a separate room after he went to university, the common link of friendship between the author and his grandmother was broken. She was very much depressed and never accepted it heartily. But she had nothing to do but to submit to her loneliness calmly. She rarely left her spinning wheel to talk to anyone. Now, what does this particular thing actually mean? Spinning wheel. Now, we have to explain it. Now, spinning wheel, this is the photograph of spinning wheel. A spinning wheel is a device of spinning thread or yarn from fibers. It was fundamental to the cotton textile industry prior to the Industrial Revolution. Now, one common type of spinning wheel is charkha. Mahatma Gandhi is associated with this particular thing, spinning wheel. Gandhi's manner of dress and commitment to hand spinning were essential elements of his philosophy and politics. From sunrise to sunset, she sat by her wheel, spinning and reciting prayers. Only in the afternoon she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows. After the author had grown up as a university student, his grandmother started spending her days in the following ways. She lived alone in her room as she had accepted her loneliness quietly. She sat at her spinning wheel reciting prayers. In the afternoon, she would feed the sparrows for half an hour. While she sat in the veranda, breaking the bread into little bits, hundreds of little birds collected round her, creating a veritable bedlam of chirrupings. Now, what does the word veritable mean? Veritable means genuine or actual. Bedlam means a place, scene, or state of uproar and confusion. Example, an asylum for the mentally ill persons. And chirrupings, nothing but making repeated, short, high-pitched sounds by birds. Now, this expression is an excellent metaphor of the particular situation. Chirruping of birds created an environment of asylum. Some came and perched on her legs. Some birds came and perched. Perched means sat. Now some birds sat on her legs, others on her shoulders. Some even sat on her head. She smiled but never shooed them away. Now shoot, what does it mean? It means used to frighten. She never used to frighten them away, frighten the birds away. It used to be the happiest half hour of the day for her. When I decided to go abroad for further studies, I was sure my grandmother would be upset. I would be away for 5 years, and at her age, one could never tell. Now, one could never tell. The author was going away for 5 years. He thought that as his grandmother was extremely old, and at her age, one could never tell whether she would be alive for long. But my grandmother could. Now she had the ability to resist, she had the ability to survive. She was not even sentimental. She came to leave me at the railway station but did not talk or show any emotion. It actually shows the strong personality of author's grandmother. Her lips moved in prayer. Her mind was lost in prayer. Her fingers were busy telling the beads of a rosary. Silently she kissed my forehead, and when I left, I cherished the moist imprint as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between us. The grandmother went to see the author off at the railway station when the author was going abroad for higher studies. She was not at all sentimental. She kept silent and didn't show her emotions. Her lips moved in prayer and her fingers were busy telling the beads of a rosary. She only kissed the narrator's forehead silently. The author valued this as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between them. Now this much for today. We'll continue the text in our next class. Thank you.